What is up, everybody? It's game day. It is Georgia, Florida. You see it right there in that beautiful background that Palmer has put up for us. We'll be looking at it real soon, just here in a few hours. And Rusty, I love this game, man. I do, and I don't care where it's played. I was telling somebody the other day, I'm almost a contrarian about it. It's like, if you come in and you're like, this needs to be a home and home, I'm like, wait a minute now, come on, no, come on. And if you're like, well, this needs to be in Jacksonville, like, wait a minute, come on, So I kind of push back no matter which way. I'm really on the fence about it, but I'm excited about this game. And Rusty, we always start with the pregame show, general thoughts on this game, and we've done it a couple times live this week. So if there's anything different, that's awesome. If there's not, just overall feeling on this matchup, this game.
You first off, it's Georgia, Florida, so it's a huge game, and that kind of gets your engine revved up. But you look at it. This is the second half of the season, and this is go time for Georgia. That starts today at 3:30 here in a couple hours. Coming off a bye week, 14 days since Georgia played. A lot of questions. You kind of feel that low as a Georgia fan base losing Brock Bowers, and now your attention and your heart rate kind of vibes up a little, revs up a little bit because you're like, hey, what are we going to do without him? What have we been working on the last 2 weeks? Who's going to get those targets? Who can step up? And it's always a big game in Jacksonville. Today is no different, and we'll see what Georgia can do without Brock Bowers. I mean, we haven't sugarcoated it from the start, but we think Georgia's got some pieces, and I'm interested to see what they do offensively.
My thing is, and this has kind of just cropped up on me like in the last 24 hours, but you get ready for Florida's best shot. This means they are the 26th team in the country. They're the first team out of the AP poll right now. Bye week, a chance to stew on it, a chance to get right. Georgia's going to get almost everybody's best shot, and I really believe it's going to get Florida's best shot on Saturday. I'm sorry, in a few hours. So, I think it's one of those things it's got to out-execute them from the jump, and that's one of those things. If you can weather that early storm, hell, if you can kind of slam their hand on the pad right to start with in that early thing, then you can kind of run away with this game. But you've got to get ready for a team coming out of the corner. Swinging. What's your outlook on the injury situation coming into this one?
I expect Marius Mims to go today. I think that's the one everybody's asking about. And what's Kendall Milton? I think, with a MCL is kind of how you feel that day right now. He's come back, he played a little bit against Vanderbilt and he felt it strained, so he kind of backed off. So, you want to see what Xavier trusts, because if Xavier Truss is in there, you got a left guard issue. Not a left guard issue. You got a left guard that can probably start. You can put Marius Mims back to right tackle. You can have your starting five you had the first of the year. So I'm leaning more toward a Marius Mims plays today, but we'll see as it goes on. As we get a little bit closer this afternoon, we'll see where. But I'm leaning right now. Marius Mims plays. I'm not expecting to see Roderick Robinson. I know they've tried to get him ready this week. Not expecting to see him. I think Ladd McConkey's going to be good to go, which is good news. And, you and I both agree we don't expect to see Ty Ingram Dawkins this weekend today. So, we'll see.
Yeah, I think Marius Mims is going to play. I think what you're going to see is you're going to see both him and Xavier Truss probably play some right tackle in this game. Mm-hmm. I don't think you're going to see either one of them play all the snaps clearly, because obviously that goes without saying if I say they're going to see both of them. But I think both of them are going to play some right tackle. I think you're going to see Dylan Fairchild and Micah Morris kind of hold it down there at left guard. Ladd McConkey, like you said. I think Kendall Milton's good. I actually talked to a source here late in the week, Rusty, who told me that Kendall looked pretty fresh this week, that he looked pretty fresh. He looked pretty quick. I think he's going to be good to go. And I think that's big, man, because, it's one of those things where you really forgot watching him run with a hamstring injury through those first couple, 2 or 3 games, that he was kind of out of the mix for a while. He didn't practice much this preseason. He didn't practice much this spring. And he just didn't look like himself early this year, took some time off, got everything back right. And then you saw him the way he run the ball against Vanderbilt. You saw the way he run the ball against Kentucky. I think that's a weapon for Georgia, and it's a very good yin to Dejan Edwards' yang there. And, I think those two form a pretty good combo. Another guy that I was told, listen, Rusty, I'm don't want to get too far in the weeds here, but Lawson Lucky coming off of a high ankle sprain, it wasn't just hey, you're good and he's back to normal. It took some time and condition, took some time and confidence to get that back. I'm told he had a pretty good week of practice there too, and I know he's a guy that Kirby can say all he wants about so-and-so's not going to be doing anything more than they were doing, or they're not going to take on a bigger role. That's impossible for Lawson Lucky at this point. Whatever he does from here on out is a bigger role than what he had before.
Correct. It's just, and for lack of a better term, I hate to kind of use it, but it is next man up. You're not going to replace Brock Bowers one-on-one, but you got to try to do it by committee. And Lawson Lucky was a heavily recruited player, highly ranked, and he has shown some flashes. And he dealt with that injury and kind of lingered on a little bit for him, but it's time to go. And I think that Lawson Lucky and either Lovett or Ra Thomas are going to be the ones that's going to get. I think Lawson Lucky is going to get some targets today. I really do. And I think Georgia fans are going to be excited about this young man, this true freshman out of Norcross High School and what he can do. But this is a guy that's another issue for teams to cover, and he's kind of the next man up, Jake.
A little bit of a card up Mike Bobo's sleeve. I feel like in short yardage, goal line, things like that, you got new personnel in there. You can move them around. Maybe they're kind of relaxed a little bit because they're not having to deal with number 19. So you throw it to number 7, or you try to dial something up for him to get him an opportunity in a big moment like that. I think that's big. And Georgia's not going to just stop running 12 personnel altogether. It's still going to be in there, even if they do have to go more 11 personnel. All right, Rusty, what is your focus matchup for this game? The one matchup that you think is key to this football game?
I think Georgia's offensive line, the ability to control this football game against Florida's defensive front. They've had issues kind of stopping the run. You've made note of it. You have made note several times this week. They're last in the SEC in sacks, and Georgia's kind of different defensive philosophy, and so does Florida a little bit. But I think that can Georgia really just control the box, not have to put it all on a passing game? There's been so much focus for the last 2 weeks on passing game. Who can replace Brock Bowers? Well, if Georgia can control the line of scrimmage and able to establish a run with Dajan Edwards and if Kendall Milton today, that's going to take a lot of pressure off everybody else, and it wears a Florida Gator team down, as the game goes on. I think that offensive line, the ability to control that line of scrimmage and establish a run is the key for me today.
Absolutely. And that's a blast from the past photo Palmer has pulled up from us right there. That's Brandon Cablano.
Brandon Cablano weighs about 185 now.
Yeah. Looking good. Brandon, I hope he sees this. I love that guy. Good, one of the best dudes you'll ever meet, one of the smartest dudes you'll ever meet. I think he's actually left-handed, but he's actually snapping right-handed there because he had to learn how to do that. Rusty, I'm going to go. Obviously, I do agree with you there. I think that's big. I think the line of scrimmages are always big in these games. But I'm going to go with Georgia's defensive backs against Ricky Pearsall and Eugene Wilson. And this is why. We've talked about Tyke Smith, right? And Tyke's a playmaker. You got 4 interceptions. You got a sack. You got tackles for a loss. You got a guy who will light you up in the open field. But Tyke is like every single defender that's ever played the game, except for maybe Lawrence Taylor and Champ Bailey and some of the greats. He's gettable. You can get to him a little bit. I mean, it's the same for.
The fastest guy.
Yeah, right. He's not the fastest guy. He's taken some bad angles this year. I mean, the only Georgia player I can remember nobody ever getting them was DeAndre Baker. I mean, and that's just, it may be a PI every now and then, but that's about as good as you could do. So I think Florida is going to try to attack him. And honestly, I would think that Georgia would be ready for that, because Georgia, whether Georgia fans want to admit it or not, there were times last year they kind of had to try to hide Javon Bullard at that star position. There were times in 2021 where they had to try and hide Latavius Brini at that star position. It's a tough position to play, and that position needs some support. So I think if Georgia can do a good job of giving 23 that support that he needs, I don't know if Jonel Aguero gets some looks there or not, but I think that Florida's going to try to use Ricky Pearsall. They're going to try to use Eugene Wilson to kind of go at Tyke Smith and to take some shots. I mean, you saw that busted coverage between him and Kamari Lassiter against Vanderbilt that resulted in a 49-yard touchdown. Florida wants that. They want those chunk plays because they're not good at them. They're just they are 10th in the SEC in scrimmage plays of 20+ yards. They are, I want to say, last in the SEC of scrimmage plays of 30+ yards. And Georgia does a good job of preventing those. So, but I do think they're going to take some shots at number 23, and I think Georgia's got to do a good job of kind of supporting / hiding, him and playing things to his strengths and allowing him to be a playmaker that he has been for them this year more often than not. I mean, 4 big interceptions. Bad players, that doesn't happen to him. So, he's not a bad player. He's just a guy that they can attack sometimes. All right, Rusty, how do you think this game's going to go? I don't necessarily need a prediction. We've got some predictions over at DawgsHQ. If you want to go ahead and tell folks that's fine, or make them read it. It doesn't matter to us. But tell me how you think it's going to go.
I like this matchup for Georgia. I think this is a Florida team that's getting better. And, in this second season of Billy Napier, I'm not sure they're quite there yet to be able to go 4 quarters with Georgia. I certainly think this is going to be a game through a half and maybe even into the third quarter. Maybe it lingers into the fourth a little bit, but I still think Georgia's depth and what they can do physically just to wear down Florida. If Georgia doesn't turn the ball over, and they have at times now, if Georgia doesn't turn the ball over today, I kind of like this match. I think this is Georgia's strengths on Florida's weaknesses, those types of things. I really think Georgia should have a really good this afternoon, and everybody can down in Jacksonville tonight can enjoy some hydration and get ready for a huge game next week in Athens against Missouri.
Contrary to their reptilian nature, I think the Gators are going to have some hot blood coming into this one. I think they're going to be real fired up. I think Georgia's going to have a fight on its hands early in this game. But I'm with you, Rusty. I think Georgia's going to outlast them. I think Georgia, if Georgia can land some punches, like some haymakers early in this game, it can control it from start to finish. But I do know that Florida's going to have a kind of a tough chin early, and they're going to be ready. And there's just no doubt in my mind. I think more than not, it's a well-coached team. I think there's a solid culture building there. But I don't know that it's going to be able to last for 4 quarters. And I like Georgia to cover. I like Georgia to cover, and I think from what we learned late in this week, I think the Sharps like Georgia to cover too. But all of that doesn't really mean anything, just depending on which way that oblong ball bounces, and we'll have it covered for you over at DawgsHQ. Hey, listen, 6 months for free when you sign up for a year-long membership at DawgsHQ, 50% off an annual membership, and it is a membership. You will become a member at DawgsHQ. Because we talk all day, every day about ball, about Georgia, about other stuff, off-topic stuff. It's a community. We appreciate it over there. A lot of inside information, a lot of analysis. We'll have an X's and O's analysis of this game after. Rusty's always bringing the heat, whether it's team, whether it's barbecue, whether it's recruiting. He's got some stuff. Bojangles.
I'm already hungry.
The foremost Bojangles expert out there. He's probably sent them many ideas that have made them money. But we got that. If you just want to try us out for 1 month, you can do that for $1. That's all it takes. So come join us over there, and definitely tune in to what we've got going on after the game. We'll be back with a post-game show. Georgia show. The Georgia show will be Sunday night at 8 o'clock, and then we'll do it again Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, and Bark After Dark on Monday nights at 9 p.m. So check us out, and we'll catch you after the game.